So what happens? You've got children who are affected by the way that their parents are talking about each other and sharing and everything. And we're talking about the right way to do it. But what happens when it's the wrong way? How do we support those kids? Like, what should those children do? Say they're adults now and they're dealing with the fallout of what's happened during their parents' divorce and how it's affect them now as an adult. Like, what do they do? What are their options? What are the resources for them?
Well, I highly encourage parents, to get support for their kids, during a separation and divorce, just to help them deal with it, change, help them deal with the grief. Remember I talked anger is often unresolved grief, right? And we see it in adults, we see it in kids. So getting some support in there, it doesn't mean anything's wrong or anybody's broken, but having a safe place where they can have some guidance as well is really helpful. And, I'm a strong believer. Obviously, I'm, a therapist, but, I believe this to be a value. I wouldn't have committed my, pretty much my career to doing this work if I didn't, and if I hadn't seen positives come from it, right? Those kids, and the great thing about being a therapist for a long time, because I've been around for a while now, is that, these kids have come back to me as adults and they've said, that helped so much. That helped so much, right? So, if you're fortunate enough to have a good therapist for your children to help them move through these things and protect them a bit from the conflict, because it really can, having that neutral, safe person, that's great. If you don't have that, as an adult, you can seek that out also and know that, if you've never really worked on it or resolved it or dug into it, it's probably going to emerge in your life, and it'll often emerge when you get partnered or you have children. And so, getting some support at any time in your life can be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a client in the last couple of years. Actually, I supported him through 4 years of going through his separation and divorce. And I spoke to him. He's now remarried. And he said, Sabina, I have to say something. And he said, I want to say, you told me when we were going through the separation and divorce that I should get my kids into therapy throughout, like as soon as we were separated, that I should get my kids into therapy. And they were 5 and 8, I think, at that time. And he said, I had to fight for that. He said it took a lot to win that in the divorce. And he said, it's been so valuable for my kids. And he said, I just want to thank you for that. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm working in finance and mortgages and that kind of thing, but that is one of my biggest pieces of advice to parents, is to get them into therapy during that process. And I said to my kids, it's like brushing your teeth. You just got to go. Yeah. And sometimes my kids are like, oh, we don't need therapy. And I'm like, then just go and color on the floor.
Yeah.
The divorce, we had a divorce counselor for the kids, and one, sometimes she'd just go and make slime, and just sit on the carpet and hang out and whatever. But when she needed that person, she was able to lean on it when things got tough. And that's why, if there isn't an incident specifically that they're going for, I think it's just a regular appointment that should be there for the kids, and it helps them to navigate. And even I've had pushback from my kids saying, well, my therapist said that you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't talk about this. And it's like, okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for the feedback, and I won't do that anymore. Right. And I love that because they know what their rights are and they stand up for them. And that teaches them to have some skin in the game and boundaries, and say, I don't want to hear about that. Yeah.
And that's where getting that support is so important. And I want to say for parents, because I've had, through the years where people are like, what are you doing if you're just coloring? But there's a lot that goes on in that. Mm-hmm. Like there's lots of conversations that go on during the coloring, and there's lots of life skills and resiliency that, a good therapist, good child, youth therapist is always looking to build resiliency. And it's not just in regard to the divorce and separation. It's about, how do we best build resources and skills for this young person in life. And as we know, there's a lot to deal with
Kids are navigating so much today on top of divorce and separation of their parents. It might be something on social media. It might be something that happened at school. And if they're regularly going and they have somebody
Some
that
support.
is not their parents, that maybe they can openly trust and know that information is fully protected.
Yeah.
That's just, it's irreplaceable.
It is, and it's valuable. It's like I always talk about, mental health is health,
Mhm.
right? In the same way that you have your, family doctor, if you're lucky enough to have a family doctor these days, having that mental health professional who's also looking for your, mental health is such a great resource. And I believe kind of needed almost now with so much stimuli and overload in the society. So, it's it can help on many levels.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as like, comment, and share on the videos. It supports the channel and allows me to be able to produce more content with great guests who provide tremendously valuable expert advice for anyone going through a divorce process.